Hello boaters. So here's one of the phases of the project. I now have managed to get the bulk of the grime and guck out of the bilge and looking to now place a new floorboard to hold the batteries, controller, and the battery charger. I'm using a piece of 3/4 inch teak and holly that I've had for a number of years. I originally bought for my own sailboat. I don't know if you can read that, but it's made in Canada in 2005. And what I find particularly good about this piece is there are absolutely no voids, except at this end where it got banged. No voids in the laminations, so much less chance for water to seep in, which has been the situation with other floorboards that I've had and put into my sailboat. And here's the rest of the sheet. So I've done some cutting. This is the actual size of the cockpit area where it's going to fit down in the hold, but because the width here is quite a bit greater than the opening of the hatchway, I have to cut this and cut it in half, at least this piece, so that I can fit it in, and I'll have to support it underneath with brackets. So the next stage is to cut this piece in half. And for those of you who are familiar with woodworking, you always want to cut from the good side up into the secondary side so as not to leave any burrs or cuts of any significance on the finished side. So that's what we'll be doing here. I now want to measure the middle and do a perpendicular cut. So I'm at 41 3/4. So I want to be 20 7/8. So looking for my square. There it is. Should be the midpoint, but we'll check on the other end just to be sure. That looks about right. 16 3/8. There's a bit of dust kicked up because this teak and holly. Teak is a fine grain wood, and when you cut it, it does create a lot of shards. Make sure we're clear all the way through. There we have a nice clean edge. We'll have to sand and perhaps chamfer some of the edges. This is the bow end, and I've made templates to match the size of the battery boxes. You see here, because these will bolt in to those floorboards via a little clip that comes with the polycarbonate box. It's a great addition. So these templates are going to sit and just carry the whole of the batteries. Now they do overhang a little bit, but in fact I've made the template a little larger to give me clearance. The other thing that we will end up doing, because the batteries are quite heavy, and I'm simply copying the design that was there previously. There's a large cross member to the bulkhead, and then I'm going to cut another piece and run it down the middle on the bottom, screw one in, and then the other will rest on it and carry the weight. And the stern piece, again, I had to cut off because the size of the whole unit wouldn't fit. It's going to carry the battery charger. It'll sit like that. These two pieces will come in, be supported with an underlay similar to what I explained earlier. And that's how the original floorboard was done for the battery compartment. It may become a little clearer once we put it in the boat. It's a shame to have to use such expensive 3/4 inch plywood, but it is marine grade and I've had it for 12 years and I thought, well, why not? Wasn't going to go anywhere else. My plans. It's really too thick for the floorboard. This is the floorboard in the front section of the boat, and I'm just going to clean it up and give it another couple of coats of varnish. But you can see how the edges were chamfered, probably with mechanical tool. I don't possess one of those, but I may look into borrowing one. So next stage in preparation, after having just cut the boards, is to sand off the rough edges, try to preserve any of the edges of the plywood from catching and breaking off the lamination, particularly on the finish side. Just using a sponge with a 120 grit. Again, just want to be gentle with it. The cheek is a very hard wood naturally. There's a fair amount of oil in it, and that's why it's used in the marine applications, because the oils keep it from deteriorating and get maintained, keep it from rotting out, that otherwise would happen if you use just regular hardwoods. Our weather here the 30th of April has not been great the last week of April, and I don't know if you can see out the window, but it's actually snowing outside today here in Shediac, New Brunswick, and we're hoping that's going to change and improve next week. We've had a string of stormy weather on the weekends throughout the whole winter. So the boaters and the golfers and the outdoor enthusiasts are going to have to wait a few more weeks. Say this plywood looks exceptionally good in that there are no voids in the lamination. It was too thick to go as a floorboard in my sailboat because the bulkheads had an opening that would allow 3/8 for the floorboards to fit in underneath the bulkheads. The 3/4 inch was too tall, too wide. I had put a piece of 3/4 inch plywood in my sailboat to carry 2 AGM batteries, but it didn't last 4 years, and the regular plywood started to delaminate.